This is a special session for the UPPCS PYQs, that is previous question papers 2022, which I am going to solve for you students. So this is a great opportunity for those UPPCS students and other states of India PCS examination, where they will be getting the classes, the study materials, as well as the interview sessions, as well as the PYQs or the original papers to be solved. So there have been many mails and messages to us that, sir, we want the previous year questions to be solved. So today is the day where I'm going to analyze, where I'm going to critically evaluate the original paper of 2022. So my dear, all the English aspirants, whether they are for IAS or for any other PCS state examinations, or even if they are for the UGC NET examinations, they may enjoy this session. I am Dr. Anurag Agarwal, professor in English, and this is OISN Academy of English since 1998. So it has been a long journey, students, more than 2 decades of experience of teaching the UPSC, PCS and NET examinations. And under this roof, under this OISN guidance, you are going to excel in your coming examinations if you are just going to have faith, religiously faith in your teacher, in your mentor, and that is Dr. Agarwal. So good evening, students. Let us start with the PYQs of the UPPCS 2022. Fine. Yes, before I start the session, you can have all the links given under this section, that is in, जब आप YouTube पे आप देख रहे हैं तो इसी में नीचे आप देखेंगे क्लिक करके all the links and all the details are given of the application of everything. So you can have all the details and the number is also given there. So now आपने जैसे स्क्रीन पे देखा होगा प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर सामने लगा हुआ था और ये पेपर मेरे हाथ पे भी है. This is the printout of the original paper which you just saw. We all know that the paper is divided into 2 parts, section A, section B, that is paper 1 and paper 2. Now I'm going to take this section A, where we all know that the first question is a compulsory question where there are 4 passages A, B, C and D. And in these 4 passages, you have to evaluate, explain with reference to context any 2 of the following passages with adding comments. So this is the place where when you write certain things in this paragraph which you have already known or studied, this gives you a very good marks. ये एक तरीके का मैथमेटिक्स होता है कि जितना अच्छा आपने लिखा उतना अच्छा मार्क्स आप पहले से ही जनरेट कर लेते हैं, माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स. सो जैसे आप देख पा रहे हैं स्क्रीन पे, पहला देखिए सेक्शन नंबर ए, क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 का पहला ए आप स्क्रीन पे देख पा रहे होंगे. वील बिल्ड इन सॉनेट्स प्रिटी रूम्स as well a wrought urn becomes the greatest ashes as half-acre tombs, and by these hymns all shall approve. So this is a poem from your course, that is the canonization, and written by nobody else but the great metaphysical poet John Donne. And yes, if I am not wrong, this is from the stanza 4. बिकॉज इतनी बार पढ़ा चुके हैं बच्चों कि वो याद हो जाता है कि कौन सी लाइन किस पैराग्राफ से आई हुई है. फाइन. सो दिस इज फ्रॉम पैराग्राफ 4. हो सकता है कि आप पैराग्राफ याद ना कर पाएं, तो भी चिंता की बात नहीं है, आप सिर्फ ये लिख सकते हैं दिस इज अ पोएम बाय जॉन डन एंड द नेम ऑफ द पोएम इज द कैनोनाइजेशन. नाउ फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल स्टूडेंट, जैसा लिखा है एक्सप्लेन विद रेफरेंस टू कॉन्टेक्स्ट. Now, what happens in the reference? You have to tell to the examiner that you have read this poem with precision and you have to inform the examiner कि आपने क्या क्या पढ़ा है और कैसे कैसे इस पोएम को आप लेके चलेंगे. तो सबसे पहले बच्चों क्या करना पड़ेगा कि जो पहला है इसमें हम लिख देते हैं A, that is the canonization by John Donne. Fine. So ये जो canonization है by John Donne, मैं यहाँ लिख देता हूँ पैरा 4. तो आप शुरुआत में बताएंगे, अपने कॉपी में लिखेंगे आंसर में, दैट दिस पोएम कैनोनाइजेशन इज सपोज टू बी वन ऑफ द बेस्ट नोन पोएम्स ऑफ जॉन डन. ऐसे आप शुरुआत करेंगे पहली लाइन की, एंड द वेरी फर्स्ट लाइन विल गिव अ ग्रेट इंपैक्ट टू द एग्जामिनर. एंड द सेकेंड लाइन एज पर माई लर्निंग शुड बी दैट कोलरिज, S.T. कोलरिज आपने पढ़ा होगा, Coleridge admired this poem, the canonization, and yes, it was one of his favorite reading. मतलब आपने ये बताया एग्जामिनर को कि हमने ये तक पढ़ा है कि कोलरिज ने इस पोएम को बहुत एडमायर किया था और कोलरिज की ये बहुत फेवरेट पोएम थी. Means कि whenever Coleridge used to get time, he used to admire this poem, read this poem and love this poem and used to have a great love and admiration for John Donne even. And yes, it is a love poem. ये कैसी poem है बच्चों? ये love poem है. And which this love poem is expressing John Donne's positive attitude. There are two things to love. That is, one is the positive side, one is the negative side. But this is a special love poem where Donne is expressing his positive attitude towards love. And this positive attitude, students, is supposed to be an attitude of satisfaction. It is supposed to be an attitude where the beloved or the lover, they are absorbed in a love relationship. And yes, many critics have taken it to be an expression of poet's love for Anne Moore. For Anne Moore. ऐसा critics का कहना है. Many critics, they take it to be an expression of the poet's love for Anne Moore, whom he loved, whom he admired, loved passionately, in a great devotion also, and elopement, उसके साथ भाग भी गया. And after that he married, subsequent marriage with whom ruined his fortunes. But nothing can be asserted with any certainty, students, in this respect. ऐसा केवल critics का मानना है बच्चों. Fine. तो ये तो हो गया रेफरेंस टू कॉन्टेक्स्ट. समझते हैं कि आपने पहले रेफर किया कि सी दिस इज द स्टोरी लाइन, या इस पोएम में ऐसा ऐसा था. अब हम चलते हैं इन 4 लाइनों पे कि जहां पे बोला है गया, इसको एक्सप्लेन करना है आपको. वी बिल्ड इन सॉनेट्स प्रिटी रूम्स एज वेल अ वेल रॉट अर्न बिकम्स. सो यहां पे क्या कह रहे हैं बच्चों इस लाइन में जॉन डन, कि जो ये स्टोरी है, द स्टोरी ऑफ देयर लव may not be carved in tombs, may not be carved in monuments, or we can say the monuments may not be built in their memory, and their story may not be recorded in the books of history, but they will be remembered in sonnets. They will remembered be in sonnets. In sonnet पे उनको याद किया जाएगा, and they will be remembered in the love lyrics too. And by means of such beautiful love lyrics, which would be supposing like a hymns to their love. जैसे आपने देखा होगा स्पेंसर ने लिखा था एपिथिलीमिन, द ग्रेटेस्ट वेडिंग song in English literature. So by means of such lyrics, which would be hymns of their love, they would become immortal. इसी से इसको लिख के, इसको देख करके वो लोग immortal हो जाएंगे, हमेशा के लिए अमर हो जाएंगे. And people would call them saints of love. उनको कहा जाएगा कि वो saints of love हैं. Now you understand, these are the lines which has been asked in the poem, and this is how you will explain it. अब लास्ट में इसको सम अप भी आप कर सकते हैं, because you have read the entire poem, you know about John Donne lot, so it can be managed. So this is how it has to go on. Now, the second point, that is the B part, is the tumult of thy mighty harmonies will take from both a deep autumnal tone, sweet though in sadness, be thou spirit fierce, my spirit, be thou me impetuous one. So my dear students, this 4 lines is one of the greatest romantic poet, that is P.B. Shelley, and the poem is Ode to the West Wind. P.B. Shelley, Ode to the West Wind, that is, I think it is Canto 5. Yes, Canto 5. So ये लाइन आपसे बच्चों पूछी गई है. अब इसको एक्सप्लेन करना है with reference to context. Now again, as I have explained you have to do the same thing here. And what is that same thing? You have to introduce that what you know about this poem. So the most important thing in the initial lines you will write that this poem Ode to the West Wind was written in 1819. 1819 and yes, written W में कर देता हूँ, publish में P भी ऐसे कर देता हूँ 1920, sorry 1820. Publication date एक साल बाद है. Along with Shelley's musical drama, ये पोएम जब लिखी गई 1819 में, पब्लिश हुई 1820 में, अलॉन्ग विद शेलीज म्यूजिकल ड्रामा, मतलब एक साथ छपी है. और वो म्यूजिकल ड्रामा का क्या नाम था? प्रोमीथियस अनबाउंड. प्रोमीथियस अनबाउंड मीन्स कि दिस पोएम वॉज पब्लिश्ड अलॉन्ग विद हिज म्यूजिकल ड्रामा, दैट इज प्रोमीथियस अनबाउंड. और उस समय की बात मैं बता रहा हूं स्टूडेंट्स. शेली वॉज लिविंग इन इटली एट दैट टाइम. इटली में वो रह रहा था. और जैसा कि शेली ने हमें बताया है अपनी किताबों के द्वारा, दिस पोएम वॉज कंसीव्ड इन हिज माइंड, इन हिज हार्ट, एंड चीफली रिटन इन अ वुड. वुड मीन जंगल. अराउंड द एक प्लेस है जिसका नाम है आर्नो, ARNO. ही हैज बेसिकली रिटन दिस पीस ऑफ वर्क around an Arno, which is near Florence, and Florence is a place which is in Italy. And Shelley actually wrote it on a day when the stormy wind, बहुत ही तूफानी वाली शाम या कह लीजिए हवा, the stormy wind was collecting the vapors that sent the autumnal rains. And at sunset, as Shelley had foreseen, there was a violent tempest of hail, violent tempest of rain, attended by an exceptional thunder of clouds and thunder of lightning. Fine. So this was what is required to write in this poem by P.B. Shelley, students. So ये छोटा सा पैराग्राफ था, but it has to be dealt like this, where you have to negotiate first the initial things to the examiner, then the exact lines की जो summary है, and then you can sum up. Now, the third is C part. That is, the light begins to twinkle from the rocks. The long day wanes, the slow moon climbs, the deep moans around with many voices. So this is a poem by Ulysses, by Alfred Tennyson. One of the very famous, very known poem by Alfred Tennyson. Now again you have to use the same strategy, that you have to tell some background of Ulysses. And that the same thing, that Ulysses was published in 1842, and it was published soon after the death of Tennyson's friend, and the name was Arthur Hallam. And this expresses the poet's feeling of going ahead and facing life in a very brave manner, despite the bereavement he has been suffering. Ulysses is basically, students, a legendary Greek hero. एक बहुत ही बड़ा legendary Greek hero है Ulysses, जिसका नाम है, जिसके tales of heroism are given in Homer's Odyssey. Homer's Odyssey तक में दिया गया है. But Tennyson's Ulysses is based on Dante's Ulysses, as given in the 26th canto of the Inferno. And the influence of the classical poet like Homer and Virgil is visible in his phrasing and in many verbal echoes. So this is how you will start this explanation to the examiner, so that he will be having the assessment that you have known very well. Now, as far as the paragraph is concerned, the lines are concerned, Ulysses is determined basically to go adventuring till his last moment of his life. As the evening falls, the long day wanes, the slow moon climbs. As the evening falls, light falls on the rocks, the day draws closer to an end. And here, Ulysses is imagining that he hears moaning sounds from the ocean. So this is as simple as it has been given here. But yes, it is not so simple because it becomes simple when you have known the story behind it by reading it many times. Fine. Now, there is the fourth, fourth paragraph. Fourth paragraph is, we are nothing less than nothing and dreams. We are only what might have been and must wait upon the tedious shores of Lethe millions of ages before we have existence and a name. So students, ये जो लाइन है, अगर आपने पढ़ा हो चार्ल्स लैम, और चार्ल्स लैम का सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जो एसे है, that is known as the dream reverie. So these lines are from the last, last paragraph of Charles Lamb's essay, The Dream Reverie. अब इसको explain करने के लिए you have to understand, you have to know about the Dream Children, the essay, which is known as A Dream Children, a Reverie, which was published in January 1822. And yes, it was published where? It was published in the London Magazine. London Magazine में ये publish हुई थी. And the immediate occasion for this essay was provided by the death of Lamb's brother. और लैम्ब के ब्रदर का क्या नाम था स्टूडेंट्स? उसका नाम था जॉन. So what happened that the event, this event further intensified his sense of loneliness, his sense of alienation, which produced the daydream. And this daydreams forms the substance of this essay. So if you see the title of the essay, which is quite appropriate, students, क्यों? Because in this, Lamb is indulging. Where? Lamb is indulging in a reverie about children who are mere dreams, जो कि केवल एक dream हैं, and they are never ever a reality. That is why आपको लिखना होगा यहाँ पे, it is one of the most autobiographical of his essays. Why? Because it is opening a window to his soul. उसकी आत्मा खुल जा रही है वहां से. And if I now come up on these 4 lines, here you will explain that as far as they are concerned, or they were concerned, they were unreal. देखिए लिखा है ना, less than nothing and dreams. They were unreal, they were unsubstantial. They were those disembodied souls who, according to mythology, they are waiting for the ages on the banks of the river Lethe. Lethe का word यहाँ पे लगा होगा. Yes, tedious shores of the Lethe millions means they are waiting on the banks of the river Lethe of the underworld, the river of forgetfulness, before they are born and get a physical form. So the close of the essay has been praised for its very delicate blend of humor and pathos, for which Charles Lamb, the prince of essayists, is actually known. He is known for the blending of humor and pathos, which he has very much used in this essay. Moreover, he has used in all of his essays. सबसे ज़्यादा The Dream Children, a Reverie में. So in this way, you will write these passages explaining the initial part, then the body, and then you will close down with 2 lines. Any questions, students? Any questions? Now, see, ये है section number A, which is compulsory, and out of these you have to do. जबकि मैंने आपको चारों करा दिया. I have explained all these 4 which came in the examination 2022. Now, the question number 2 speaks about write an essay on Renaissance and its influence on English literature. Now, this question has been a very sought after question for me also, because many a times students have been asking about this. And yesterday only I have taken a live session for the UPSC IAS candidates, because आपको ये पता होगा कि जो syllabus होता है उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा फ़र्क नहीं है. खास तौर से हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंग्लिश लिटरेचर विल ऑलवेज रिमेन द सेम. केवल पोएट्स और जो आपके नॉवेल्स हैं, ड्रामास हैं, पोएट्स हैं, वो उनमें कुछ चेंजेस हो सकते हैं. So yesterday only I took a live session on the Renaissance where I have taught exactly the same thing. So you can go into this channel and get the link of the Renaissance which I have taken as a thumbnail, UPSC Renaissance. how to qualify, how to prepare UPSC IAS mains with English literature as an optional. You can find the thumbnail of yesterday and just check that video. You will get that answer. Now, question number 2 का B part है students. Write a note on the status of poetry in the Elizabethan age. Now, Elizabethan age की अगर हम बात करें, so yes, this also I have taught, but here as हमें ये Elizabethan लिए बहुत पहले हमने पढ़ाया होगा, but here because I am trying to analyze and critically evaluate this question paper, so I will take this question in front of you students. So ये क्वेश्चन हम लिख देते हैं यहाँ पे आपके लिए. Write a note on the status of poetry in सी. ये है क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 का बी. Question number 2 B part. A part is of that Renaissance. फाइन. तो अब देखिए इसको पढ़ाना है एलिजाबेथन एज में आपको क्या लिखना है. अब बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं अपनी नॉलेज के हिसाब से एलिजाबेथन एज के बारे में लिखेंगे, but because it is UPSC PCS examination, which is a subjective examination where you have to show your learning also, the answer should not be very bookish also, but it should have proper framing, proper diction, proper knowledge. It should come from your heart also, means कि you have that level of knowledge in your mind. So ऐसे इसको start कर सकते हैं कि the age of Elizabethan is rightly hailed as the golden period of literature. Actually it is. Elizabethan age क्या है बच्चों? It is a golden period of literature as the socio-political religious climate was very much conducive to the growth of art, to the growth of literature, to the growth of poetry, to the growth of drama. The entire climate, the entire political climate, the entire religious climate, economical climate, everything, even the rural people who were ruling there, Elizabethan, Queen Elizabeth, she was such a kind-hearted lady. She was so much helping to the poets and the dramatists. So इसी को कहते हैं that the entire system was very much conducive to the growth of art, to the growth of literature. And the darkness of the medieval times, the darkness of the medieval times की अगर हम बात करें, उस समय जो अंधेरा छाया हुआ था, had vanished totally vanished. And the spiritual, the intellectual, and even the physical limitations that paved the way for the entry of the Renaissance, which made the way to the entry of the Renaissance fervor, to the entry of the romance, even the imagination, which was spreading its wings, and it was taking a huge flight into the realms of the unknown. कहाँ जा रहे थे हम लोग? Unknown में जा रहे थे, which human fancy had never ever known in earlier times. So this was actually the reason why poetry, drama took its, command in this Elizabethan age. Any questions, students? Any questions you may ask us? Now, जैसा कि हमने देखा है, हर एक राजा, like every other monarch, even if you see, Elizabeth's rule was eclipsed by the shadows of the past, by the earlier monarchs. And who were the earlier monarchs? Like Henry VIII, Edward VI, even you can say Mary I. Even the political reforms under Henry VIII left a great Catholic England without a pope. अगर आपने हिस्ट्री पढ़ा हो तो हमारी ये लेक्चर को आप समझ पाएंगे कि it left without a pope, and the rise of Protestantism under Edward VI and the Catholic revival under Mary I, they were all obstacles in her path. ये रास्ते में सब रुकावट बन रहे थे. लेकिन these all ordeals were all dealt tactfully by the monarch, whose actions, means Elizabeth के जो actions थे, they ushered in a new order and provided a lot of nourishment to expedite the growth of art and literature. So ये sentences आपको लिखने हैं इस तरीके का. And Elizabeth's accession was like a sunrise, was like a rays of sun after a long dark night. So this will be the paragraph which will be best suiting for you. Then आगे आप बढ़ करके ये बताएंगे कि किस तरीके से पोइट्री के बारे में आप डिटेल बताएंगे, पोएट्स के बारे में बताएंगे, उनके वर्क्स के बारे में बताएंगे और कैसे पोइट्री ने अपनी जगह बनाई. लेकिन इन द स्टार्टिंग यू हैव टू राइट लाइक दिस. फाइन स्टूडेंट्स, सो this is the starting of the PYQs of UPPCS 2022, and in the next session I would be taking about the Revenger's tragedy, the Jacobean drama, then the metaphysical poem, epic and mock epic, the romantic movement, and so and so. So just subscribe this channel, like this channel, and keep save this channel so that all the UPPCS or IAS candidates may be getting all the informations regarding their examination and how they have to prepare with the study content or the test series or the classes chronologically in order. Thank you so much, students, and have a good day. Be with us.